How's everybody doing in Facebook land today? Yes. Today is a beautiful day. Welcome to America. So, what have we got to be happy about today? You're still alive. I'm still alive. Generally like to think that that's a good thing, right? Living, breathing. Freedom to complain about something new again today. So, talk to me, folks. What are the important things to you? Go ahead, like, share, comment. Let me know what's going on. Let your friends know what's going on. Let your friends and family know whether or not you agree with me or disagree with me. Reason why is because that's what this is about. It's about discourse. We want to hear from you. And hopefully you want to hear something from me. Otherwise, you wouldn't be tuning in for 30 to 45 minutes every day listening to me rattle on about random stuff. Now, I've been hitting things a little bit heavy and hard, so, it's random. Let's admit that. It's random. Now, we got some good things coming up. Tomorrow, I am going on the show with one of our local celebrities, Jimmy Rhodes. He's got a podcast that he does every Sunday. Covers a variety of different topics. A couple of weeks ago, he had one of my friends on, Ginger Christensen, talk about music, talk about libertarianism. He's given me an opportunity tomorrow to present on his podcast. In addition to that, we got a bunch of other things going on too. I have been invited to the NPR debates. Not that it's an actual debate. It's more of a town hall. It's one of those pre-recorded things. So you don't actually get to interact with the other candidates. It's literally, here's your question. You give your answer. Then they move on over to the next guy. Their question and answer. So Q&A. It's sort of sucks because it's not a debate. You're not actually arguing the merits of your position against, the other candidates. But regardless, I, a libertarian candidate from the state of Idaho, am part of the NPR League of Women Voters debate here in Idaho, which is absolutely awesome. I believe it's the first time in history that particular debate forum has included a third-party candidate. Meanwhile, tonight, of course, you have the presidential debates going on. Yeah. Anyway, still short Joe Jorgensen on that one. And so, tune into the fake debates. See what your fake candidates are going to promise you in order to get your vote. Because, scared of Joe. The other Joe, not this Joe. But Joe Jorgensen. Our whiskey drinking, hockey playing mama and presidential candidate. Let's see if I can do a little bit of focus here. There we go. Get a little light on my face here so that you guys can see me. This is also a good view because squirrels like to run back and forth across the fence back there, and we get good old-fashioned squirrel. Okay, so another big issue. We are talking, they're already talking about it. Trying to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg in the SCOTUS with less than 40 days to the election. They're going to go ahead and start the process. Now, we all know who the replacement is. Amy Coney Barrett. Amy Coney Barrett. She is a practicing Catholic. She is the mother of 7 children, 2 of which have been adopted. These were adoptions from Haiti. She speaks very highly of them in her CNN interview, monitored interview when she was being interviewed for her appointment to the 7th Circuit Court. And so these are 7 children. They're all bright. They're all intelligent. She is a law professor. I can't remember which school she actually teaches at. And while she doesn't exactly have a large volume of opinions that she's written over the years, and she's been on the appellate court for less than 2, this is the person they have decided to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg with. Now, CNN hearings, there's an awful lot of stuff going on around right now, about, and God, some of the attacks are disgusting. You don't go after kids. You don't go after family. Her and her husband do a good job of managing to take care of the 7 children. Their income provides adequate, so that the children are taken care of. They're all loved. They're all adored. The children have great relationships with each other. So come on, folks, don't go after the kids. Even if 2 of the kids are adopted from Haiti, that Clinton issue, if you're smart, dude, if you're a Democrat and you're smart, you don't go after her for Haitian adoptions. That's no, you don't touch that, folks. You do not touch that. Interracial adoptions can work. They do work. Lots of families have been able to make it successful. Take a look at Barack Obama. His grandparents effectively adopted him. That's, raised him as the, so don't even get started on the issues of interracial adoption. Now, are there situations where interracial adoption shouldn't happen? Yes, and a lot of those are related to tactics and techniques adopted by the Clinton Foundation when they facilitated adoptions out of Haiti. Again, don't go there, folks. Not if you're going to attack her for, don't. But her interviews are pretty solid. When sitting on the bench, she is a jurist first, a Catholic never. She knows better than to involve her faith in her decisions. She has specifically stated that she would never choose faith over legal or lawful precedents. And to her, one of those things happens to be Roe versus Wade. It's established law, folks. 50, 60 years of established law. Roe versus Wade has survived that long. None of the justices are interested in overturning it. Established precedent, 50 years. It survived 50 years. It's American culture, folks. It's here to stay. That said, she is a conservative justice. There are laws on the books that have not had the kind of challenges put against them as Roe versus Wade has over the years. One of those is the Patriot Act. Now, we all know Kavanaugh was a Patriot Act humping, loving son of a gun and never should have been appointed. The reason why is because there were some challenges to the Patriot Act that didn't succeed. The state used the Patriot Act, did some bad things. State was sued. Took it all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court went, yeah, that clause in the Patriot Act is bogus and it's unconstitutional. Boom. Problem is there haven't been a whole lot of those cases. Reason why is because both Bush and Obama knew better. Yes, they did. They knew better. Reason why is because one of the prototype documents was the 1992 anti-terrorism bill by Joe Biden. Okay, now that didn't pass Congress. God. But after the 1992 counterterrorism bill by Joe Biden, Joe, of course, came out with the 1994 crime bill. which of course bumped up mass incarceration all across the United States. And it has received challenges as well. Challenges that have been upheld in the Supreme Court, of all things. I mean, so let's go ahead and step back and realize that Joe Biden has been involved in legislation over the last 50 years that has persistently failed to stand up to the Supreme Court litmus test of constitutionality. And now that prototype, the 1992 anti-terrorism bill, 1994 crime bill, somehow we've had some conservative jurists who've sat on the bench that upheld certain things like the Law Enforcement Officers' Bill of Rights. Cringe. Because we're dealing with fallout from that right now, which means we actually have to go in and write legislation repealing the Supreme Court's ruling on qualified immunity. The thing is qualified immunity isn't in the Constitution. It isn't in legislation. Qualified immunity was a creation of the Supreme Court justice. So literally the qualified immunity clause, we can go in and write that out. Same thing with Citizens United. Literally, we can go in and write legislation because neither Citizens United nor neither the decisions for Citizens United or qualified immunity are based on constitutional law. It's based on a common law, which means that you can write legislation to ditch it. Yay! Let's go libertarians. Woohoo! But yes, she is a conservative jurist. Like I said, unfortunately, I don't know what her positions are on regards to the Patriot Act, especially under the current situation. United States executive orders, national state of emergency, 38 of them. We went over the list in a previous issue. I don't know what her opinions are. Under what conditions the state can suspend constitutional rights for national security reasons. Good question, folks. Really, honestly, wish I knew what the answer was. But we step back and we take a look at what's going on with that. On the surface, Amy looks good. Don't listen to the leftists who are whining. They're whining for political reasons. They're not whining because they actually reviewed her appointments, her documents, her write-ups. Matter of fact, there were several Democrat congressmen. Feinstein was one of them. There were a few others during her Seventh Appellate Court hearings for appointment, which, again, was only 2 years ago. We're actually reading an awful lot of these left-wing think tanks documents and appraisals of her appointment. And upon review, those critiques didn't stand up to the truth or the research. So, Amy, not my first choice, probably not even on my short list. I think she was surprised she was on anybody's short list. I don't think she considers herself to, but she's stepping up. She's willing to accept it and run with it. Not the worst choice he could have made. Definitely not the worst choice he could have made. Especially with all the threats of appointing Ted Cruz or Tom Cotton. Yeah. Bureau of Land Management. Absolutely. They suck. We need to do something about them. Terrorist organization, Bureau of Land Management. Get rid of them. But yeah. So what else we got going on, folks? Oh, yeah. And thanks for tuning in, Duval. I appreciate anytime a fan, lets me know what's going on. Yeah. Okay. So first 15 minutes Cover the Supreme Court nomination. What else do we want to talk about? Bureau of Land Management. Of course, it sucks. I cover that almost every time in some capacity or another. We need to do better environmentally with regards to conservation and environment. We need to repeal a lot of those environmental rules. EPA is a fail. Department of Environmental Quality is a fail. 40-year-old rules created by the Sierra Club fail. We need to fix all those things. Isn't going to happen. Not with our current folks in charge. Reason why is because a lot of the rules that the Republicans are busy repealing right now don't actually fix the problem of corporations with slash and burn mentalities. If you don't find a way to actually deal with the slash and burn mentality of the corporations, first quarter profits, next quarter profits, that short-term planning, you end up with detrimental effects all around the world. I mean, take a look at what's going on in Brazil right now with the Brazilian rainforest, the Amazon rainforest. Slash and burn. Boom, 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 boom. The amount of land we've lost, forest fires, as far as carbon sink this year. To keep carbon out of the air and keep it more oxygen rich. A lot more CO2, a lot more, carbon monoxide, all sitting in the air, greenhouse gases. It's a problem. Now, other issue. A libertarian. I do believe in defunding the police, if that's what you're really asking there, Duval. First priority, of course, is get rid of the victimless crimes. We get rid of the victimless crimes. A lot of those crimes that the police currently use to harass minorities and underserved communities and over-policed communities goes away. We've all seen the videos, the cop that plants the drugs on an innocent individual just to get the arrest. Innocent individual is too poor to afford anybody other than a public defender. Public defender advises them to plead, and they're stuck with a drug charge on their record, and their life's screwed. Yeah, some people can recover from it, but for the most part, most people don't. So you're actually stepping back and you're looking at issues from BLM perspective, Black Lives Matter, and you're looking at their current objective of defund the police. Come on. Libertarians have been working it since 1972. Nobody has better plans, better ideas as far as the process of defunding the police than the Libertarian Party. Stop looking at the Marxists, folks. The Marxists like police. They like more police. They want to be in charge of the police. We're already a police state. You don't need more police. You don't want Marxists in charge of the police. You want libertarians, because libertarians get rid of all of those things currently the police are doing. Talked about it before. Prohibition. Back in 1918, whenever they outlawed alcohol, during the 4 years that alcohol was illegal, constitutionally illegal, mind you, law enforcement positions ramped up, 200%. And literally, boom! They were hiring cops left and right. As soon as they repealed the alcohol prohibition, boom, 50%. Those law enforcement positions disappeared. No longer feds chasing bootleggers, not bootlickers, right? Oh, we all know a bootlicker too, but feds weren't chasing bootleggers across state lines anymore. So, it was 1922. A lot of criminal empires actually created dynasties at the time. Rockefellers, the Kennedys. Kennedys were a big one. Great-great-grandpa was a bootlegger. Ran his own still during Prohibition. Got rich, made the money. Everything became legal. Boom. Family went into politics. They're still in politics. That's what we're going to do next. We are going to go in. We're going to eliminate prohibition. We're going to end the war on drugs. Second, we end the war on drugs. Well, one, the cartels are no longer going to be running drugs illegally. All the little entrepreneurs that got their own little garden kits growing their own little, medicinal stuff in the backyard, going to start offering legitimate entrepreneurial competition to the cartels. It's going to be so nice when you can grow your own medicine again, right? Just think about it. Find a friend who's got the right seed, that's got the right content for you. A little more sativa, a little less indica, or maybe more indica, less sativa. I'd maybe just go one or the other. Everybody's different. Cannabinoid system, take care of it. We look after it. But that's enough. You listen to me talk about legalize marijuana, legalize Idaho, descheduling, legalization, decriminalization of drugs across the United States, ending the prohibition. You listen to me talk about that enough. So what else you guys want to talk about? Come on. Let me know. Saturday, Ask Me Anything Town Hall. Got my Hawaiian shirt on. Cup of Joe with Joe. Who's watching me, folks? Who's watching me? Ask Me Anything Town Hall. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Come on, folks, talk to me. Let me know what you're thinking about. Gotta bump back through a couple things. Turn that off, save myself some bandwidth on my system. So, thank you, Liberty Blues, for doing the repeat. Appreciate it. Okay. What else we got talking about? So, yeah, got a couple interviews coming up. Like I said, Jimmy Rhodes, talking to him tomorrow. He's going to be putting it on October 5th. I'm headed into NPR to actually do the in-studio recording for my little bit of our debate / town hall forum. Doing their best to actually get all of us in at the same time. That way, breaking news doesn't change. They're able to ask current events and be able to turn around and get it back out in the public. We got a couple other things going on. Caldwell Town Hall, they're doing one. Their Chamber of Commerce out in Caldwell, making things happen. Now, I mean, literally, we got some pretty good options out there as far as getting the message out. And really like to thank all of you for participating, especially you guys out there in Twitter land. You guys have been amazing. 2,200 in the last month. 2,200 fans on my Twitter account. You guys have been incredible, been amazing. Thank you, the fan base, sharing, commenting, retweeting. Yes, retweets. Yes! It's a win, man. It's definitely a win. What other things you want to talk about? We got good things. We got bad things. What are we looking at? School started. How's everybody feeling about COVID in relationship to schools? What do you think about that? You think we're jumping the gun, thinking we're sending kids back to school too early? Think we should have done a better job of making sure that online education was definitely available? What are your thoughts? Now, I realize in an awful lot of cases, this should have been an individual basis. We definitely should have created a situation where there were more options. Reason why is because COVID is a comorbidity type disease. Now, you don't actually get it and die unless you have other health issues that are going on at the time, like age or cancer or pneumonia. You don't actually die from COVID. You die from the other things you catch that COVID affects your body's ability to cope with. Survival rate. More survival rate, young kids more than likely going to survive. Unless, like I said, there's a health issue that goes alongside it. You start to get older, that survival rate drops, or the morbidity rate increases almost exponentially. Yes, it goes whoosh on up. So now in standard nuclear family, mom, pop, kids, nobody over 40. Kids can go to school and come home. Everybody can get sick. Chances are everybody's going to be able to survive it, just like the flu every year. Kids go to school, they get the flu, they bring it home. Everybody's sick for a week. Rest of the year goes down fine. Now, where you're dealing with more complicated situations. This is an interesting argument, especially when we get into the BLM agenda of accepting extended families, hybrid families, etc., as part of state policy. Yes. It's been a while since we've actually talked about this. But the thing is, this is one of those things you got to remember. Right now, 20% of American families fit the nuclear family model. Only 20%. Reason why is because the nuclear family model isn't a self-sustainable model. It isn't. It's too small. You don't have the community network. And literally, you have to create the environment for the nuclear family to succeed. Nearly perfect. So what ends up happening is nuclear family, mom, dad, 2.2 kids, picks up, moves to another location. They have no support network. They're not tied to a religious base, so they don't get involved with the church. They don't get involved in the volunteer communities. And they don't have the kind of income that allows them to get their kids involved in other things. Nuclear family is going to fail, which is why you end up with only 20% of America fitting the nuclear family model. Now, COVID in relationship to children going to school in the extended family. Okay, for those families, those nuclear families that are part of an extended family, those kids are going back and they're coming back into households with grandparents. Okay, mom and dad, probably 30, 35. Grandparents, 50, 55, sometimes older. I'm 51. I got a 2-year-old grandson. It's going to be 6 more years before he's in school. I'll be almost 60. So literally, if I were in a situation where I were assisting my daughter with her son while her and her husband work, the kid would be coming home from school, sick as a dog, to a grandparent who's already 60 years old. Comorbidity issues. We all know that COVID, 60 years old, you start hitting that issue. So literally, we got extended family situations, community support networks right now where kids catching COVID at school, coming home and infecting grandparents, as well as siblings and other family who have high risk situations. Endometriosis, big one. Got a number of family and friends. I'm a cancer survivor. I'm short a kidney as a result. So there's the comorbidity issues, bad diet, bad health, a number of things. They're coming home. So what's one of those situations where you could have created an environment where the extended family, it was helping raise the children while mom and dad are at work or doing their work? Sending them back to school is extremely dangerous for that support network. We could have, should have created options, especially for those families who are high risk, not just because they're dependent upon the extended family network, but because they also no longer fit the nuclear family model. We got single parents all across the United States. Like I said, 20% of U.S. families fit the nuclear family model. The rest are extended family. They are single parents. They are grandparents raising grandchildren. They are adopted families. Good question. I think this is one of those things that's really up to school choice. Hate to keep bringing that up, but school choice, especially in a situation where you're dealing with a pandemic and the health situation comes back to haunt families. But that's where we're at with that issue. School choice. How you doing out there in Twitch land? Thanks for joining the conversation today. But yeah, today's Saturday, so you got me for 30 more minutes. Go ahead, share with your friends. Like, share, comment, please. Retweet if you can. That's how we get the message out. And it's Saturday. Enjoy the sun. Enjoy the squirrels. All that good stuff. Thank you, Alberta. Appreciate very much. So, what else we got going on out there? COVID, school choice. Let's get back to that. One of the problems we have with school choice right now is the way the United States Department of Education has co-opted the way we teach school in America. We no longer teach according to the priorities of the community. We teach according to the priorities of the Department of Education, which those priorities are set by bureaucrats who are heavily lobbied by special interest groups like teachers unions, like McGraw-Hill, like Peterson. For those of you who aren't familiar with McGraw-Hill and Peterson, these are education industries. And literally, they write education software. They write education books. They write the books that they charge you $300 a book for in college. When you go and you sign up for 5 different classes for the semester and your books cost more than your tuition, it's McGraw-Hill and Peterson. Okay, these are industries that are lobbying the United States Department of Education. So what do? One, you decentralize the Department of Education. Come on, let's admit it. You just get rid of it. Reason why is because 40 years of lobbying, the United States Department of Education has done nothing but adversely affect the education of the United States all across America. There's almost no education system that has improved over the last 40 years outside of private schools. I mean, 40 years ago, private schools were already considered better than public schools. Okay, the divide between private schools and public schools is now so huge. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, now you graduate from a public school and you're getting ready to go to college, and you still have to take remedial classes just to be able to take your college courses. You're paying college prices for a high school class so that you can eventually get a college degree. All because our public education system failed. Thank you, United States Department of Education. 40 years have failed. One of the big reasons for school choice right now is simply because of the Department of Education. It has failed U.S. education so badly that people are actively seeking options. They are actively seeking charter schools. They are actively seeking homeschool pods. Right? You know, we got states like California that have practically outlawed homeschooling. I mean, the hoops you got to jump through. And then you got Kamala Harris, you know, saying, you didn't send your kids to school, so I'm going to send you to jail. 30 days. Who's going to watch your kids while you're sitting in jail for 30 days? Yeah. All because you couldn't afford the school choice that actually taught your kid the kind of education they need to succeed in the economy you're raising them in. Yeah, that's an interesting situation. Again, for those of you out there actually considering electing Kamala Harris as vice president, that's her legacy, folks. That's her legacy. Why you want to put somebody in the White House, even as vice president, who has that much influence over a cabinet seat like Betsy DeVos? I won't even get into the issue of Betsy DeVos this time. You know, but as vice president, the amount of influence that they would have over that cabinet seat. Dangerous. It's ridiculous. Why would you? But that's a Kamala Harris legacy. California. So right now, school choice, we got people who are trying to homeschool. Reason why is because they can't afford the private schools. And this isn't just a religious freedom issue. This is an actual quality of education issue. And literally, parents are so disappointed with our public education system, they're taking them out and homeschooling them just to make sure that the kid can learn, you know, to a greater potential than public schools allowing them with the lowest common denominator system that they got. So, Department of Education, it's got to go. Got to go, folks. Disempower it. Stop allowing the federal U.S. Department of Education to control education funding at the local level. Why there are federal funds devoted to local education is beyond me. You know, you want your kids to learn, you want your kids to succeed. You talk to your neighbors. You make it happen at the local level. You talk to your city council. You talk to your county. You say, you know what? We aren't spending enough money on education. Of course, if we manage to reduce your federal income tax by 50%, you know, bring it somewhere down from about the 25% where it's at to about 12%, you know, that's 12% more of your education you can actually put into local education rather than sending it back to the bureaucracy back in DC, so they can dangle it in front of you and say, hey, if you do what we tell you to do, we'll give you some of your money back. Yeah. Federal control's been doing that for a while now. And this happens to be one of those things where Amy interesting attack. Anyway, Amy Coney Barrett is one of those that might not actually be a bad idea for a Supreme Court nomination. There's allegations that she's an originalist. And that means she actually looks at the original intent of the Constitution when making her decisions on it, rather than the long-standing case law that's developed since then, which also includes several neoliberal interpretations of things like, the Commerce Clause. She were actually go back in and take a look at some of the rules surrounding the Commerce Clause and go, you know what? We need to go ahead and open up some more challenges in relationship to that. Amy may not be bad having her sit on the court, but the thing is you still need the right people in the other two offices. You still need the right person sitting in the executive branch. You still need the right people sitting in Congress, because that's what it's about. It's about those checks and balances. You need the right people in Congress to make sure the right legislation gets written, or the legislation is written in such a way that it can't be corrupted. You want people sitting in the executive branch, because the executive branch won't, one, if they see something cross their desk, they always got the veto pen that says, yeah, no, I don't think it's appropriate for the President of the United States or any federal branch executive agency to be enforcing something like that. And of course, you always need the right people on the Supreme Court of the United States saying, yeah, that legislation isn't constitutional. We need to be paying more attention to things like that. We really do. Now, it's best when all three are in agreement. This is a constitutional law. It's enforceable. It was written well. As long as all three are in agreement on that, they can make things happen. Well, that's when one or two, even two of them, any one of them can go in and actually swat down bad legislation. They can swat down bad case law. They can swat down a bad executive order. Any one of those, that's the checks and balances. Which, of course, is one of the reasons conservatives love gridlock. Congress is gridlocked. The executive branch is gridlocked. Nothing new actually gets passed. And you don't have to worry about, new challenges to Supreme Court case law. You don't have to worry about challenges to executive order. Yeah, Charlie, gonna have to disagree. I'm voting Joe Jorgensen. Thanks for the input. I'm not going to disparage Amy. Not the best choice, but definitely not the worst choice. I think she needed more time on the appellate court. Charlie, you're not going to get an argument from me on that. Both of them suck. Pick a better candidate. Not a fan of Trump, not a fan of Biden. Both of them are just bad, even if they're bad for different reasons. The fact that Trump accepted AG Bill Barr, you actually go back and take a look through some of my previous posts on AG Bill Barr. Dude, hyper-authoritarian. The man's been willing to violate the Constitution in order to pursue cases that never should have been pursued. Take a look at what he did at Ruby Ridge. Bill Barr's mistakes at Ruby Ridge still echo through the American justice system. In addition to that, 2 weeks into the Janet Reno position as AG, Bill Barr's fingerprints were still all over the Department of Justice when Waco went bad. And Bill Barr created the Department of Justice that Janet Reno inherited, that created the situation in Waco. Trump's selection, reappointment of Bill Barr, 20 years, 30 years later, doesn't sit well with me. Doesn't sit well with anybody of a libertarian mind. We go back, we take a look at the situation that happened in Portland where Pappas was shot. Reinhold. There was no intention of taking Reinhold alive in order for him to stand trial. That was with extreme prejudice. It's not the way the United States Department of Justice is supposed to work. We're supposed to hold them to a higher standard. They had the ability to take him alive. They chose not to. They saved themselves a trial. They saved themselves a reality check. As a matter of fact, it's going to be an interesting situation right now, because right now, as we speak, Proud Boys and Antifa are squaring off in Portland. I'm not going to watch it, although I'm sure there's going to be lots of live feeds about what goes down. Reason why is because these are essentially two rogue paramilitary organizations that are going at each other. They've been going at each other for a while. You got the National Loyalists, you got the rebels, and, you know, up until this point, up until the Pappas Reinhold issue, it's literally been LARPing. However, the Pappas Reinhold issue escalated it. Proud Boys are talking about even further escalation. So, yeah. But we've already seen what the AG has decided to do in regards to human rights, about citizens' rights, about the First Amendment, or about the Bill of Rights, with regards to the way they've handled Portland, Seattle, Minneapolis. Yeah. Trump's appointment of AG Bill Barr, bad juju. Of course, Trump and AG Bill Barr wouldn't be able to be doing what they're doing now if it wasn't for legislation written by Biden. So, yeah, it took both of them to create the situation we're in right now. Not happy with either, not voting for either. Not going to happen, Charlie. But appreciate the input. So what else we got going on? Thanks for paying attention out there in Twitch land. Really appreciate that, man. You adding, share, like, please. Working on building that Twitch community. Interesting pod idea, the way Twitch has things set up over there. Dogfight. Oh, somebody let the puppy loose. That's not going to look good. Bark, bark, bark. So, Proud Boys pro-Trump rally in Portland. That's going to be a mess. Interesting. You have to take a look at that. Okay, so God, why's it got to be election season? Glad you guys are paying attention. Glad some of you actually are interested in my opinion on a couple issues. I really appreciate that. So, who else we got out there? Oh, welcome back, Twitch. Welcome back, Twitter. So, like I said, we got Trump rallies happening on Saturday. Boise. We actually had a Ruth Bader Ginsburg event that was supposed to be happening at the Idaho Supreme Court building. They canceled. Why? Because after they planned the event, another organization planned a Trump counter rally. Now, the problem with this is the group's peaceful. The RBG group, the ones who plan to do the rally for RBG, for those of you who are interested, the RBG event is live. It's gone live. It's online. Been online for 20 minutes now. This prevents it from being interrupted, but it also allows safe place and healing because they're not actually in close proximity to counter protesters. But the end of the RBG event was put on by Inclusive Idaho, which is one of our member organizations of the broader Black Lives Matter movement. Okay, this is Inclusive Idaho. And this is about racial equity. And they do have a drive for defund the police, invest back in social services in the communities so that underserved and minorities are better represented in the community. But Inclusive Idaho was involved in putting on an RGB event, peaceful event, specifically requested that nobody show up armed, which of course is an organizer's request and is generally respected by most individuals. They don't show up prepared for a conflict. They don't show up open carry. But they had an event planned on the steps of the Idaho State Supreme Court building. As soon as they posted that they wanted to do this event at that location, counter organizers scheduled an event to counter protest a peaceful RBG event. And of course, they all show up with their long guns, which is really pretty pathetic. Serious. They weren't there to protest Trump. They were there as a vigil for an individual, and you want to make a spectacle of it. Come on, man. The playground's big enough for all of us. You don't have to keep pushing people off of it. You know, I mean, literally, this is the situation, you know. They plan an event. You go to where they're planning the event and push them away. They go somewhere else. I mean, literally, you're following them around. There's a big enough playground out there. You don't need to be harassing them every step of the way. Proud Boys in Portland. Most of those kids are nothing more than school kids. They don't even belong in Portland. They don't live in Portland. Some of them drove 500, 1,000 miles to be in Portland to harass the locals. Dude, it's a big playground. Stop being an authoritarian twaffle. It doesn't look well. It doesn't look good. You know, the rest of America is getting upset with it. They don't like you either. They don't like them. But they're really beginning to not like you either. You make more trouble than needs to be there. A lot more trouble. Go play in your sandbox. Let Antifa go play in their sandbox. Yeah. It's all right. Eventually, you're going to push it till somebody breaks. Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't the first. He won't be the last. Pappas and Reinhold, not the first. Won't be the last. Keep pushing it. More and more of those incidences are going to happen. You're a small enough chunk of the population, nobody's going to give a damn. All you're going to end up doing is getting each other more and more upset. You ever reach a point where the neutral people get upset enough with both of you, then we got a problem. And at the rate you're going, it's not that far away. Anyway, it's my take on the Proud Boys. That's my take on Antifa. Freedom of speech, it's a real thing, man. Just because you're not the government interfering with somebody else's ability to do it, you know, you keep infringing on other people's rights to a peaceful redress of grievances, sooner or later there's going to be fallout from it. Let them go. Let them yell. Let them scream. Let them do their kumbaya. Let them go home. Honestly, that's what happens 93% of the time. And the other 7% of the time, it's that way because somebody got involved who never should have been involved. My take. Okay. Yes, I've been playing this game for an hour now. So far, all I got is Charlie Pride out there talking garbage. Love you, Charlie. Thanks for joining us. Duval, of course, he had to have his say. But like, share, comment. Let me know what's going on in your world. You can go ahead and take a look, see what's going on with the rest of you. Over the next couple of days, like I said, tomorrow, join me for my show with, well, actually, he won't be doing it live. He records it, then he produces it, then he puts it on his YouTube. He's not quite as brave as me doing the live ad hoc as we go. He's got a producer that actually works on doing a quality production. Me, I got squirrels running around over my shoulders. That's what it's about, right? It's about being real. It's about being involved with you. So, folks, like, share, comment. Let me know what's going on in your lives. Let me know what's important to you. You know, 95% of America, we're frustrated, we're tired, we're angry. We don't know what we need to be mad about. But we're looking for better options. 4 years ago, 29% of the, more than that, 50% of the eligible voting population was so disgusted with the two primaries that they didn't even bother going to the polls. Dude, that situation hasn't changed. Literally, most of the people out there are so disgusted with both Biden and Trump. Half of the people who are eligible to vote probably will not bother going to a poll or even filling out their absentee ballot. You know, and if they do, chances are it's not going to be for your candidate because your candidate's that bad. A lot of people going down the list right now going, well, I got my absentee ballot. Who should I vote for? Trump's on the list. Biden's on the list. Joe Jorgensen's on the list. In Idaho, you even got Kanye on the list. You got options, folks. You don't have to pick the duopoly. You don't have to pick a pro-corporate party. You know, there's an awful lot of people out there that like to talk crap about the libertarians, you know, letting the corporations go and do what they want. Believe it or not, folks, the Libertarian Party is probably one of the least corporate parties in America right now. And literally, we are the only ones promising America that we will not bail out the corporations. There's no bailouts in capitalism, no bailouts in free market. You took the risk, you assume the risk. Live with the fallout. The Libertarian Party is the only party right now that is promising America we will not spend tax dollars bailing out corporate failures. Doesn't that sound good? Stop rewarding rich people for being incompetent. God, feel the weight just lifting off of my shoulders. That's freedom, folks. That's freedom. Knowing that 10 trillion isn't going to bail out some incompetent CEO. Anyway, peace, folks. Friends, family, community. That and a little bit of planning makes life so much easier. Love you.